We are in the early portion of Season 6 here in the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB The Show 23. And it's been a very up and down start to the year. The team has been really inconsistent so far as we currently have a record of 10-9. We haven't really been able to build out many winning streaks, and it's just been very inconsistent on a game-to-game basis. It's not going to get any easier over the next couple of weeks. Our next 5 series are against Cleveland, Atlanta, the Cubs, Atlanta again, and then the Cubs again. That's a stretch of close to 20 really tough games before it gets a little easier against teams like Arizona, Cincinnati, and Washington. The NL East seems to be pretty competitive so far, with everybody within 2.5 games of each other. We're currently tied for second with Philadelphia. We're also tied for second with 4 teams for the second wild card in the NFC, albeit it's really too early to look at the playoff picture. The biggest story through the first month of the year has definitely been Isaac Stu. The second-year first baseman has gotten off to an unbelievable start. He is absolutely raking through the first 20 games of the year. He's been the best offensive player in all of baseball thus far, and he is the front runner for the NL MVP. Obviously, it's early. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played, but we could be looking at a historic season for the 20-year-old. The rest of the offense has been inconsistent. Some guys like Jesus Sanchez and Jazz Chisholm are playing well. Ariel Amador's also looked really good, but other players like Alec Boehm, Kevin Alcantara, and to a lesser extent, Brian De La Cruz have really struggled. The pitching rotation's also been very up and down, to put it nicely. The Casey Mize and Luis Severino signings haven't been great so far, albeit they haven't played a whole lot, only 4 games. Tyrell Berry's pitched really well, though, as has Edward Cabrera, who in 4 starts is 4-0. He's averaged 7.5 innings per outing. But I do actually have a slight concern with Cabrera's play. Even though he's been great so far, the strikeout rate is super low. 21 strikeouts in 30 innings. That's barely over 6 strikeouts per 9, by far the lowest of his career, despite the fact that his Ks per 9 has gone all the way up to 91. To put that in perspective, he just threw a complete game shutout against the Diamondbacks, which is great, but he only struck out 4. For anybody else, I would not have any concerns with a guy who is averaging 7.5 innings per game and has an ERA in the low 2s, but it could be something to monitor, and hopefully he gets the strikeouts up. The bullpen has also had their ups and downs. Reynaldo Lopez, in particular, has been really disappointing to me. He has lost 2 consecutive games in the previous series to the San Francisco Giants, and he's just not pitching well. For a guy who's been so reliable throughout most of this series, he has been a train wreck to start Season 6. He has already tied his highest amount of losses as a Marlin with 3. Keep in mind, this is his 5th season here. And also keep in mind, we are in the middle of April. The most amount of losses he's gotten since transitioning to a reliever is 4. He's allowed 11 runs this year, which is the same amount that he allowed last year, and 1 less than the year before. Again, keep in mind, we are in the middle of April. So he is pitching really poorly, and he's going to have to pick it up, or else he could be a DFA candidate. So let's take a look at this next stretch of 5 series, and it's going to be really tough here, with the Braves and Cubs twice, along with the Cleveland Guardians. I want to take a look at this series against the Cleveland Guardians, being that they're one of the best teams in the AL. The Edward Cabrera-Kodai Senga matchup really intrigues me, but I want to pitch in this first game to get an opportunity to pitch with Tyrell Berry, because he's done really well through his first 3 starts this year. He's been very clearly our second best starting pitcher up to this point. I don't necessarily expect that to last. I've got to assume that Casey Mize and or Luis Severino do pick it up. But for right now, Berry's playing great. It's a pretty exciting game for Cleveland as well. The number 1 prospect in their organization, catcher Paul Holder, will be making his big league debut. Holder is the 39th ranked prospect in all of baseball. He was their first-round pick back in the Season 1 draft, and he has been working his way up in the minors over the last 4+ seasons, and now he'll get an opportunity to make his debut. He's not going to be a very impactful offensive player early on, but he's a great defensive player, and I think he's got good offensive upside, which is why the Guardians like him. He's a switch hitter, so that's pretty exciting. Here's a look at both lineups, regular starters for the most part for Cleveland, as we take a look at Mitch Keller. So far, he has been, well, not very good this year. He's started in 2 games. He's pitched in a few more, actually, out of the bullpen. 6.39 ERA, 1.74 whip. It's been tough sledding. And Cleveland is a very deep pitching room, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken out of the rotation completely if he continues to struggle. Woody Landry's up here, and he crushes this one into right field. If it's fair, it's gone. And yeah, that one's fair. Solo home run for Woody Landry, and the Marlins lead it 1-0. Woody's had an up-and-down start to the year. That's his 5th long ball of the season. He hasn't been bad per se, but I feel like he started a little bit slowly, at least for his standards. Nonetheless, he's been one of the better hitters on the team per usual, and he gets the Marlins scoring going early here in Cleveland. Isaac Stu now up for the Marlins. He rips this one into the opposite field, continuing his hot start to the year, hitting around 370 or so, with an MLB leading 9 homers through the first 19 games. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, who we've obviously seen a lot in this stadium from the Guardians franchise last year. Hits it well into left field, but it is caught by Giancarlo Jose. It definitely feels weird being back here in Cleveland, especially with all the players who we've brought over from the Guardians franchise last year, like Sanchez, Ketel Marte, Clase, Camilo Doval. Here's Tyrell Berry, who through 3 starts has been fantastic. Sub-2 ERA, sub-1 whip. I don't necessarily expect it to keep up, but he has been brilliant as he strikes out Giancarlo Jose, the leadoff hitter, who's had a great season for Cleveland, one of their better long-term pieces. Eloy Jimenez with a sharp grounder to first. Woody Landry picks it up, tags the base, and Tyrell Berry retires the side here in the bottom of the first inning. Pretty good start for the 20-year-old righty as we go into the second. Alec Bohm is up with 2 away and a full count. He strikes out on the fastball. It's been a rough start to the year for Alec Bohm. He's really struggled, hitting under 200. He's going to play less and less if he continues his poor start. Jose Ramirez gets things going here in the bottom of the second, and he strikes out. Good pitch by Berry, who's pitched very well so far. Willy Adames lofts this ball into left field. Stu at the track at the wall, and it goes off the wall. Isaac Stu with a dime to second base. I didn't know he had that type of arm. But nonetheless, Adames is safe. That'll bring up George Valera. He hits this one high and deep. Stu slow after it, and he misses it. Stu's also very slow to pick up the ball. What is he doing out there? Adames assumed that ball was going to be caught. He's able to score. It's a triple for George Valera, and the Guardians tie it at 1 with a really bad defensive play by Isaac Stu. So we'll see if Berry can get out of the jam as he strikes out Matt Vierling. 2 away for Sean Paulson. Rips it into center. That'll go for a hit, and that will score Valera as it's now 2-1. I feel like neither of these runs should have scored if not for a bad defensive play there by Isaac Stu. Paul Holder in his first career at bat with a rocket to second base. 113 off the bat. Jazz Chisholm makes a nice play there. That'll end the inning. Cleveland scores 2. No error for the Marlins, although Isaac Stu really should have been called for one, as Cleveland takes the lead going into the third, and we go back to the top of the order. Adael Amador with a liner to third. Nice play by J-Ram for the second out of the inning. Amador's done such a great job hitting to the opposite field, but that time he gets robbed of the base hit. Woody Landry had the homer earlier, pops this one up into left center, and it's caught by Giancarlo Jose. After allowing the early home run in the first inning, Mitch Keller has actually pitched pretty well. As we go to the bottom of the third, and we're going to make a defensive substitution. I have Isaac Stu playing in left field to just get some other guys playing on defense, but I'm going to do an experiment. Woody Landry has a really good arm, and he's a lot faster than Stu as well. I think he'd be a pretty good corner outfielder. We're going to try it and see how it works. Stu will revert over to first base. Here is Brendan Donovan, rips it into center. De La Cruz cannot make the play. I don't know why he dove afterwards. I promise that was the game, not me. It's a triple for Donovan, and he is 90 feet away from home with 1 out. Again, poor defense there, really screwing over Tyrell Berry. That'll bring up Eloy Jimenez. He draws a walk. 2 runners on the corners, 1 away for Jose Ramirez, who's one of the best clutch hitters in baseball. He's hitting like .440 so far this year. He's going to fly this one into left. Let's see what Woody Landry's arm can do as he makes the grab. Woody with a dart to home plate, a little bit offline though, and the run scores. It's now 3-1. Woody was also pretty slow to get to that ball. Luckily, he does still make the play. Willy Adames is up now, 1-2 count, and he grounds this one over to third. Should be a routine play for Jacob Berry, and it is. Cleveland adds another run, though, off of the sacrifice fly, which, again, that run really never should have scored, and it's now 3-1. Jazz Chisholm leads off the fourth. He lines it well into right center. That ball is gone. Solo home run for Jazz Chisholm, and the Marlins cut the lead in half to 1. Jazz Chisholm's hit for really good power this year. That's his 7th homer of the season, second on the team, only trailing this gentleman, Isaac Stu, who has a full count. He rips this one into the opposite field again, and this time Giancarlo Jose comes down with a pretty nice grab. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, count is full, and he goes down looking, doesn't get the call. That pitch looked inside, but it will go for a strike 3. Bottom 4, George Valera swings and misses. He feels weird wearing number 76. I don't know why. I'm used to him from the series last year where he definitely did not wear 76. Matt Vierling draws a walk. That'll bring up Sean Paulson. Rips it into left. Woody slow to get after it, and he does not make the play at the wall. To be fair, that's a pretty tough catch, but if he got to it quicker, maybe he could have. Run will score from first despite a really good throw from Jacob Berry to home plate as it's 4-2 off of the RBI double by Sean Paulson. Giancarlo Jose flies this one into right. Sanchez is under it. He will make the play, and that'll wrap up the fourth. Both teams had another run in this inning as Cleveland leads 4-2. Again, if not for the poor defense, though, they would certainly not have 4 runs. Freddie Peralta comes out of the bullpen here for Mitch Keller. Peralta's definitely better than Keller. I don't know why he's not in the rotation, as he ends up retiring the side, finished off by a Jacob Berry strikeout. Going into the bottom of the 5th, Tyrell Berry will stay in the game. He's allowed 4 earned runs, but he's pitched pretty well, I would say, for the most part. He's facing off against Jose Ramirez, the 1-2, and J-Ram hits it well into left. Very catchable ball, but Woody Landry looks like he's never played outfield in his life, which, to be fair, is because he probably hasn't. That's going to go for a double. The Marlins might be regretting this defensive switch. Isaac Stu's slower and has a worse arm, but at least he can field the ball. J-Ram, meanwhile, now on a 17-game hitting streak. We'll see if Willy Adames drives him in, and it looks like he will. Launches it into left field. That ball is gone, and it's 6-2. This inning would have been over if Woody Landry got to that ball quick enough. I don't want to give Tyrell Berry too many excuses because he's allowing these big hits, but still, Cleveland would not have 6 runs if not for the Guardians' issues in left field. Andres Vina comes out of the bullpen. He has an ERA of 81 so far. He's pitched in a third of an inning, and he's allowed 3 runs. George Valera gets that one by Stu for a base hit. The weird thing about this Guardians team is I think we have more players from the series last year than they do. Other than Jose Ramirez and George Valera, none of the guys on this team were big pieces of that series. Matt Vierling down the line. Woody Landry completely misses the throw. Not that it matters, as it's a double for Vierling, and the Guardians have 2 runners in scoring position and another opportunity to add to their lead. It's Sean Paulson who drove in a run in his last at-bat. He's 2 for 2. Lines it into center field. De La Cruz is under it. He makes the play. The Guardians do add 2 more runs, though. They're sitting pretty. They lead 6-2. They have completely capitalized off of all of Miami's defensive mistakes. Ariel Amador goes down looking on the fastball. Quiet day for him as he's currently 0 for 3. Full count now for Woody Landry. He takes a walk. Marlins get a base runner. Obviously, the defense has been the big story, but Miami's offense has been bad, too. They only had 3 hits, albeit 2 of them were homers. Isaac Stu into the opposite field again. That'll go for another hit. Outside of Miami's 2 homers, Isaac Stu's the only other player with a base hit today, and, well, he's got 2 of them. 2 on, 2 out. Huge opportunity for Sanchez. He hits this one well into center field. Valera at the track, at the wall, it's caught. That play could have completely opened up the game for the Marlins if it just had a little bit more carry. As we go bottom 6, Guardians franchise legend Camilo Doval into the game. He hasn't allowed a run this year. He's only pitched in 3 games, though. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to have Reynaldo Lopez, who's been horrible, pitching on back-to-back days, yet you're not using Camilo Doval. Holder with another rocket to second. He hits the ball really hard, apparently. Jazz Chisholm with another nice play. He's robbed Paul Holder of 2 hits here in his debut. Brendan Donovan now swinging a miss on the cutter. Good inning for Camilo Doval as it remains 6-2. We'll see if the Marlins can start their comeback efforts here in the 7th. 3-1 for Melendez. He hits this one into the opposite field, and that one goes over the fence. Solo home run for MJ Melendez, and it's now 6-3. I think Melendez has been a pretty positive addition. He's only hitting like 220, but other than that, he's hitting for good power. He's getting on base at a high rate. He's playing good defense. That's his 4th homer of the year, and we'll see if the Marlins can potentially use that to lead a potential comeback. Brian De La Cruz swings way too late at the curveball. I think he expected that pitch to be high, but it curves in. Would have been the perfect pitch had he timed it up, but obviously he did not. Full count now for Jacob Berry. He pops this one into left field. It's got some carry, but it's going to stop near the warning track as Jose comes down with it. The Marlins cut into the lead, though, with another homer, this time by Melendez. Bottom 7, what a play here at the hot corner by Jacob Berry, showing off the leather for the first out of the inning. Jose Ramirez swings and misses at the high cutter. Since the ball has barely pitched this year, the Marlins wanted to see if they could get another inning out of them, and that decision proves to be a success. Liner to Isaac Stu finishes it off, and Duvall continues his great start to the year. Eli Morgan comes out of the bullpen for the Guardians here in the 8th inning, his 9th appearance of the year. He's been pretty good so far, only allowing 2 runs in 7 innings. He doesn't throw super hard, but he's got a nasty breaking ball. He gets Adael Amador to go down looking again. Amador only has striken out 3 times coming into today, but he's added 2, both of which he's gone down looking. Woody Landry, liner into left center. That'll go for a hit, his 2nd of the game. We'll see if the Marlins can look to start a little rally with this. Jazz Chisholm swings and misses at the circle change. There's the breaking ball. Filthy. Isaac Stu looking for his 3rd hit, and I don't think he's going to get it as he jams this one into left center, and it will be caught. The Marlins trail by 3 as we go into the bottom of the 8th inning. Jordan Hicks will come out of the bullpen. He's been really good so far, but he allows an early base hit to George Valera, his 3rd of the game. Woody Landry completely misses the throw to second, and so George Valera is going to be moving up over to second base. After that play, the Marlins switched Woody and Isaac Stu back. We've had enough. We can't take it. Sean Paulson single into center. That will score Valera, and it's now 7-3. Here's Paul Holder to 3rd. Berry's throw to second is offline. That could have been a double play, but instead, both runners are safe. The inning could have ended. Now it's going to keep going, and the Guardians are going to look to put the icing on the cake. Gianardo Jose, 3-run homer, and it's now 10-3. These are 3 more runs that are all because of bad defensive plays. I think every time that the Guardians have scored, here's another homer for Donovan, it's now 11-3. Every time the Guardians have scored, the runners who did score were able to advance because of poor defense. Every single run. So Hicks is going to be taken out of the game. He'll be replaced by Robbie Jones. He's pitched in 3 games this year, all 3 of which he's started. First time ever coming out of the bullpen. And Eloy Jimenez gives him a warm welcome. He goes deep in a left field, and it's now 12-3. The Guardians go back to back to back. The top 3 hitters in the order all go deep. Now 2 away for Adames. Lines in to right. Sanchez misses the play. More bad defense as Adames is going to be safe at second. So the Guardians have the runner in scoring position. They're going to look to add to the lead here with Valera, who has 3 hits. Grounder to 3rd. Berry's throw to 1st is in time. And the nightmare is finally over. Thank God. Cleveland scores 6 with 3 consecutive homers as we go into the 9th inning. Eli Morgan's going to stay in the game, facing off against Sanchez, liner to 3rd. Jose Ramirez's throw to 1st is off. Oh my goodness, an error from Cleveland. Now they know how we feel. Bad defensive play there by J-Ram. 2 away now. The Guardians have not been able to move Sanchez up. Khalil Watson into the game off the bench as he strikes out. And the nightmare is finally over. The Guardians win it 12-3. All 12 of their runs being aided by a poor defensive play. Believe it or not, 11 of the 12 runs are still going to be called as earned runs against Miami's pitchers, which is weird because the Marlins were called for 3 errors and a bunch of other bad defensive plays that weren't errors. Now, I will say the offense had a pretty lackluster day, only 6 hits. We did go deep 3 times, the only source of runs. Homers by Landry, Chisholm, and Melendez. So I guess it could have been worse offensively in the sense that we had 3 homers, but still, we need more base runners. And we need better defense because that was an absolute clown show. We looked like we had never played defense in our lives. We looked like a team of 12-year-olds out on the field today. I mean, it was brutal. Now, I will say, Cleveland did take advantage of all those extra opportunities. Terrell Berry and Jordan Hicks allowed a lot of runs because of the extra runners put on base. Those guys need to step up in a tough situation, and they didn't. But at the same time, it wasn't all their fault. And I think the fact that 11 of those 12 runs were earned really is not fair to those guys. Nonetheless, Cleveland's offense deserves a ton of credit. Everybody scored. Everybody except for the new kid, Paul Holder, at a base hit. Of their 15 hits, 11 of them went for extra base hits. They hit for great power. 4 homers. Obviously, they had the 3 in the 8th inning. And then their pitching was really solid for the most part. Other than allowing the 3 homers, the pitching was really good. And with that, we've lost 3 games in a row, and we fall to a record of 10-10. Hopefully, we're able to pick things up before things fall off the rails, and it's not going to get any easier. 2 games against Cleveland, then we go to the road against Atlanta, and then we've got a home series against the Cubs. We're going to simulate through these 3 series leading us to the start of May against Atlanta. During Edward Cabrera's second start of the simulation, he suffered elbow tightness. Not a super big deal, but it could be something to monitor. Whenever I see elbow tightness along with pitchers, I immediately think the worst, Tommy John. Cabrera threw probably a combined total of like 270 innings last year if you combine the regular season and the postseason. That's a lot of wear and tear on his arm, so we're going to have to be extra careful and strategic with how we use him because we don't want to overdo it. The Red Sox are going to offer as a trade. They want to buy low on Reynaldo Lopez. The player would be getting back, David Hamilton, doesn't look all that enticing, so we're going to pass. During our simulation, the team ended up playing badly. Actually, really bad, to be exact. We got swept by Cleveland. We then got swept by Atlanta. And then we picked it up late against the Cubs, but we lost as many as 10 games in a row before finally getting 2 back against Chicago. We are 12-17 now, 4th in the NL East, and completely out of the playoff race at the moment. We have tied for the second to last spot in the National League. Things are going really, really poorly. So how did this team lose 10 in a row? How did things fall off that hard for this team to play like garbage? I think the simple answer is that during this 10-game losing streak, we really could not hit the ball at all. Look at this game against Cleveland. Casey Mize pitches really well, only allows 1 run in the bottom of the first inning, and we lose. Tarek Skubal, his former teammate and former Marlin, throws a complete game shutout. Look at this game against Atlanta. Edward Cabrera does his job. The 2 relief pitchers do not allow an earned run, but because of poor defense, more guys are able to score, along with the extra innings rule in the 10th. So defense, bullpen inconsistencies, and offense has been the issue. We're 17th in earned runs, but we're 21st in runs allowed. That means our defense is not good. We're 28th in fielding percentage. We're 28th in errors. It's not like we've neglected defense when adding position players. We have the 10th ranked defense on paper in the league. If you're looking for some positives, the offense has played well over the last 2 games, scoring 11 here against the Cubs to break the losing streak. Jazz Chisholm homered twice, and then we won this game 8-9. The pitching did their best to lose it, but we were able to get the win. Khalil Watson hits his first career home run. And despite our struggles, Isaac Stu has not slowed down at all. If anything, he's played really well. He's now hitting .383. His average went up during the losing streak, which is really hard to believe. So going here into the month of May, we need a spark. And I think Gennaro Miller in the minor leagues could be that. Miller has been really good as a position player and as a pitcher. On the mound, he's been brilliant. In 5 starts, he's been fantastic. Offensively, he's been really good as well. ERA barely above 1, WHIP below 1, OPS near 900. Robbie Jones will be sent down to AAA to take his roster spot. He just hasn't been very good this year. I wanted to hold on to his minor league option, but I think we have to use it now. Gennaro Miller is going to slide right into the rotation, and he's going to play close to every day offensively because we just need a spark within the lineup. So Gennaro Miller is not scheduled to pitch in this series against Atlanta, and I want to pitch with Edward Cabrera again. So we're going to simulate through the first game. We end up winning it by the score of 8-3. Spencer Strider got rocked We didn't get any homers, but we had 6 different players drive in runs. Tyrell Berry was a little up and down. He allowed 10 hits, but we still get the job done. We've won 3 in a row, and that'll bring us into this second game with 2 of the best pitchers in baseball through the first month of the year on the mound. Edward Cabrera for the Marlins facing off against the lefty, Nasty Nestor Cortes Jr. on the mound for the Braves, who have gotten off to a pretty good start. Obviously, they are going to be in contention for this division along with us and the Mets and the Phillies. Edward Cabrera leading the Marlins out with the throwback jerseys as we take a look at both lineups. No Gennaro Miller in the lineup for the Marlins, although I do want to point out that he went 3 for 4 in his season debut. Let's take a look at Edward Cabrera, who's obviously been brilliant through 6 starts, ERA barely above 2, whip below 1. But he did go out of his last start after just 2 innings with elbow tightness, and that could be a concern if we don't manage it correctly. The former Marlin, Ha-Seong Kim, strikes out. Of course, he is now the starting second baseman here with Ozzie Albies in Houston. 2-2 count for Ronald Acuna Jr. Swinging a miss. A filthy curveball by Cabrera. Acuna might make it to first, and he is barely out. Good throw behind the plate by MJ Melendez, who has gotten his average up over the last few weeks, hitting close to 260. Let's take a look at Nestor Cortes Jr., the mustache. In 6 starts, he is also 4-0. ERA at 2.09, right around where Cabrera's is. Whip a little bit higher at 1.05. You can make the argument that these have been the 2 best pitchers in the National League so far. Brian De La Cruz goes down looking. He's back at the top of the order, although he hasn't been hitting on the ball all that well, only hitting .240 with a negative WAR. Jazz Chisholm strikes out on the slider, a little lefty-on-lefty crime, as Cortes retires the side in the first, and we go top 2. Big meat Pete Alonso swings and misses at the curveball. The strikeout rate is something that we've been monitoring with Cabrera, but so far he's getting guys out with ease. 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings for Edward Cabrera. Bottom 2, a little more lefty-on-lefty. It's Jesus Sanchez who strikes out on the fastball. Cabrera and Cortes with 4 strikeouts each. Both of them look really good so far, not allowing a base runner yet as we go top 3. Jake Fraley leads things off for the Marlins. He swings and misses on the sinker. Good pitch by Cabrera, his 5th K of the day. How about another one here against the shortstop, Justin Lanham? Got him looking on the outside fastball. We'll see if he can strike out the side against the catcher Drake Baldwin, who puts it in play. Hits a rocket over to Jazz Chisholm, who will make the throw. 3 perfect innings to start the day for Edward Cabrera, but as good as he's been, Nestor Cortes has been just as good against Dadael Amador. Flies this one into left center field, and it will be caught. Cortes with 3 perfect innings of his own. How often do both starting pitchers go through the entire lineup not allowing a base runner? Top 4, Money Mike. Michael Harris strikes out on the slider. Another punch out for Cabrera. I think he's at, 7 on the day already? That's a lot. How about another? Ha-Seong Kim goes down on the fastball. We'll see if he can retire the side. Acuna with a routine fly out into right, and Sanchez misplays it. The perfect game, and the no-hitter is dead, again because of bad defense. And it's Jesus Sanchez, who's probably the best defensive player on this team. He just completely missed the ball. I don't know how that happened. Now the Braves have the runner in scoring position. Big opportunity for Alonso, and he strikes out on the sinker. 9 Ks through 4 innings for Edward Cabrera. He does allow a hit, albeit not really his fault. Bottom 4, Melendez hitting up in the order today. Checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. Usually Melendez is on top of that. He's got some of the best plate discipline in all of baseball. Jazz Chisholm skies this one high and deep in a right field, but Ronald Acuna Jr. will come down with it. 4 perfect innings so far for Nestor Cortes, as both of these pitchers have lived up to the billing. Mike Gonzalez draws a walk, and the Braves get a base runner to lead off the inning. Austin Riley rips it into right. It's going to go for a hit. Sanchez could have tried to dive for the ball. I think he could have made the play, but he didn't want to risk that ball going by him, potentially leading to an extra base hit. Jake Fraley, grounder to short. The Marlins can turn 2. Amador to Chisholm to Stu. 6-4-3, double play. The Braves do get the other runner to advance to third, but now they're going to need a base hit from Justin Lanham, who's arguably their worst contact hitter, barely hitting above 200 with a short grounder to third. Berry makes the play, charging forward. The Braves lead off the inning with 2 base runners, and they don't drive them in. Good job by Cabrera to get out of the jam. He's thrown 5 scoreless and has looked brilliant, but he's been overshadowed by Nestor Cortes, who's been just as good. Against Woody Landry. Got him on the slider. Great pitch by Cortes. 2 away now. Jesus Sanchez, full count, draws a walk. Finally, a base runner. The perfect game for Nestor Cortes Jr. is done after 4 2/3 innings. A no-hitter is still alive. Jacob Berry's up, 2-2 count, and he goes down on the high fastball. 5 no-hit innings for Nasty Nestor. Are either of these teams going to score at this point? I don't think so. 2 away in the top of the 6th for Ha-Seong Kim, and he will line it to first. Isaac Stu deflects it. Going to be a tough play. Throw to first, not in time. Ha-Seong Kim with a base hit. I waited to use the Ha-Seong Kim line throughout all of last year. Never got the chance to. He never made a big play. Ronald Acuna singles into center. There's another base runner for the Braves. Their offense is finally starting to click after doing nothing to start the game. 2 on, 2 away, 2-2 for Alonso. Sharp grounded to short. Amador to Chisholm as Cabrera gets out of another jam. His pitch count is awfully high, though. It's already in the triple digits, whereas Nestor Cortes Jr.'s pitch count is not even at 80. He'll face off against Ariel Amador with 1 away, and the Dominican shortstop rips it up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. It's about damn time. The first hit of the game for the Marlins is a 1-out single here in the 6th by Ariel Amador. 2 away now for the catcher, M.J. Melendez. He's behind 1 and 2. Sharp grounded to first, and it will be scooped up by Alonso, who tags the base. So the no-hitter is dead, but still scoreless going into the 7th. Cabrera's going to stay in the game, I would imagine, with a very short leash as Isaac Stu nearly gets hit in the nuts off of that hit by Gonzalez. Isaac Stu, for what it's worth, won April's Player of the Month in the National League. Austin Riley, base hit into left, and the Braves get another base runner. The leash for Cabrera coming into this inning was 1 base runner, and you're gone. He allows a base runner, and normally I would probably keep him in here because I trust him to get us out of the inning. But I don't want to overuse him with his now potential elbow issue. He'll be replaced by Johan Duran, entering the game a little bit earlier than normal. The Marlins want to make sure they get out of this little jam as Jake Fraley strikes out looking. 2 away for Justin Lanham. He goes down on the curve. Johan Duran strikes 2 out of the bullpen as it remains scoreless going into the bottom of the 7th. Nestor Cortes still in the game as Jazz Chisholm rips it up the middle. Lanham deflects it. Throw to first. Well, there is none. Good hustle by Jazz Chisholm. He's aboard with an infield single. Just the 2nd hit of the game for the Marlins. That'll bring up Isaac Stu. And he rips it up the middle. Lanham deflects it again. Kim flips it to Lanham. What a play. They only get 1 out, but I don't believe how that worked. What a great job by Ha-Seong Kim to quickly make the flip over to Lanham. And now the Braves are going to make a pitching change. Nestor Cortes taken out of the game for Hunter Harvey. This is pretty odd. Going into the bottom of the 7th, I checked the Braves bullpen. There was nobody warming up. 2 batters later, Harvey's in the game. I don't get this at all from Atlanta. Cortes was pitching great. Pitch count was fine. As Woody Landry will strike out on the fastball, maybe Hunter Harvey's going to outsmart us. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, 1-2 with 2 away. And he grounds this one over to second. Kim, diving play. Throw to first is in time. Good defense again by Ha-Seong Kim. I still don't get the pitching change, bringing in a righty when Landry and Sanchez were due up, but I guess it worked out. Michael Harris swings and misses. Good pitch by Johan Duran. He is still in the game here in the 8th inning, and he is still cruising. Kim with a liner to second. It's caught by Jazz Chisholm. 8 scoreless innings for the Marlins pitching staff. Problem is, their offense hasn't added any runs of their own. Lucas Sims comes out of the bullpen here for Atlanta. He won the reliever of the year last year with Cincinnati, but he has struggled here on his new team with the Braves. Jacob Berry leads off the inning, up the middle, base hit. The Marlins have now gotten a hit in each of the last 3 innings, which doesn't seem like an accomplishment, but considering we were getting no hit prior to that, we'll take the small victories. That'll bring up Kevin Alcantara, who's dealt with his fair share of struggles so far this year, hitting below 180. Rips it up the middle. He hit that one hard. Over 100 off the bat. That'll go for a single. 2 runners on to start the inning. Gotta capitalize. The Marlins have not gotten these types of runners on today. They've got to drive them in. That'll bring up the rookie shortstop, Ariel Amador. Ooh, that's a tough one. He lays off of it, and it is now ahead in the count, 3-1. Arguably should have been called a strike. So now Amador's ahead. Sims got to make sure it's in the strike zone, and Amador capitalizes over the glove of Justin Lanham into the gap. 1 run will score. The Marlins are going to send everybody and be aggressive. Amador out at third, but the other 2 runners score. It's officially a 2-run double for Ariel Amador, and the Marlins lead 2-0. De La Cruz down the line and fair. Where has this offense been all day? 4 consecutive base hits to start the bottom of the 8th, as it's a double for De La Cruz. We had 2 hits going into the inning. How does this happen? Lucas Sims is going to be taken out. He'll be replaced by Joe Barlow. The one unfortunate thing about that double by De La Cruz is we would have easily scored Amador had he been held up at second. 2 away now for Jazz Chisholm. He grounds it to short. Lanham makes the play. Throw to first is in time. That'll wrap up the inning. The Marlins finally on the board with a 2-run double by Ariel Amador. Miami leads 2-0 going into the top of the 9th inning, where it's time for Emmanuel Clase to come in and record the save. This is Clase's 9th appearance of the year. He's only 4 for 7 in save opportunities this year. He also only has an ERA of 2. It's not necessarily his fault that he's blown these saves. It's a mixture of bad defense along with the extra innings rule. He strikes out Ronald Acuna for the first out. Pete Alonso now rips this one into the gap. Going to be a tough play for Alcantara. And he comes down with it. Good defense in center field by Kevin Alcantara. The Braves down to their final out, make it their final strike. It's Gonzalez. Grounds it to third. Berry makes the play. Quick 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen for Emmanuel Clase as the Marlins win it 2-0, and Miami has now won 4 in a row after their 10-game losing streak. At the beginning of the episode, I said this team wasn't very streaky. Well, here you go. A long losing streak followed up by a winning streak. Atlanta's offense was just flat out not very good today. They wasted a brilliant performance by Nestor Cortez. 2 of the relievers were good. Hunter Harvey and Joe Barlow did their job, but Lucas Sims completely choked it. Sims faced off against 4 batters. All 4 of them recorded hits, including the 2-run double by Amador to win the game. Amador was the only player on the team with multiple base hits. You're not going to win many games scoring 2 runs. However, when you have Edward Cabrera, Johan Duran, and Emmanuel Clase all pitching, you can make it work. And that's exactly what we did today. Those 3 all did a fantastic job. And now we're starting to make up some ground in the playoff race, although, again, it's May. It's a little early to talk about that. So we're going to continue to sim, wrap up the Braves series, then we head on the road against Chicago. We're going to simulate through the road series against Arizona, along with this 3-game set at home against Cincinnati. During our simulation, we would get offered a trade from the Cardinals, and it's a very interesting one. Austin Wells for Nolan Gorman. In terms of overall value, this would be a steal. And it makes sense for the Cardinals. They have a lot of middle infielders. Luis Rengifo, Bo Bichette, Gavin Lux, Vaughn Grissom. They don't need all these guys along with Nolan Gorman. The issue that I have with this trade, though, is that I don't think Nolan Gorman is really a fit for this team because we just don't really need a player like him. And he hasn't played very well this year. He's hitting for good power, but other than that, he's been kind of rough. But the real reason why I'm going to say no to this is because his skill set is redundant to what we already have. When I look at his offensive player card, I feel like I'm looking at Jesus Sanchez. We already have a bunch of big hitting lefties already. If we were to trade for one of these infielders from the Cardinals, I think Luis Rengifo would make so much more sense. And I think adding him could make a lot of sense for us, and I'll consider that down the line. During the last game of our simulation, we would get some bad news. Emmanuel Clase, fractured wrist, 60-day IL. That sucks. Emmanuel Clase's obviously been fantastic this year, minus the 5 blown saves. He's only allowed 3 earned runs, though. It's not really his fault, so that's going to be a pretty big loss. During the sim, we ended up going 6-4, despite getting swept by Chicago. This game is my favorite because we faced off against Braylon Marquez, whose ERA was in the 8s, and he threw 7 innings of 2-run ball. In the other games, though, we went 6-1, sweeping Atlanta, sweeping the Diamondbacks, and we won 2 of 3 against the Reds. We're now 20-21, only 1 game under 500, and all things considered, we could be in a worse spot. We lost 10 games in a row today, Yet we're still only 3 games back of first place in the division. We've played a lot better here in the month of May with 2 sweeps and another series win, and hopefully we can keep it going now without our closer, likely until probably around the trade deadline. He's going to be out for a while. We're going to have to take somebody off of AAA onto the big league team to replace his roster spot, so we're going to have to think about that and make a decision going into the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.